Right then, to continue on with my little tinkering, I'm going to be doing a Commodore Amiga. I've done both Spectrums and they're working beautifully. So now I'm going to turn my attention to the Amiga. Right, so this is a power brick for the Amiga. It's a beastly thing. This one's quite light, to be fair. There are heavier ones. But this is 30 something years old, so we don't trust it. Anything that's over 30, don't trust it. So don't trust me, but trust me. So what we're going to do is, well, I'm gonna have a look at it on the bench, and then we're just going to check it out, make sure all the power is right before I hook it up to the Amiga. I've had the Amiga for a couple of months now. I've not done anything with it. Purposely, I'm saving it to do this one. So I had my 2 Spectrums that I did. I didn't really have a power supply for that. I bought a switching power supply, but I'd also got my bench power supply. So that's easy to do because it's just 1 voltage. It was 9 volt DC flat. That was it. And I set it to about 1 amp, and that was ample enough power, and that did me. And then I got a switching power supply from the eBay. It's yeah, I checked that out. That's good enough. But this one, it needs plus 12, minus 12, and plus 5 volts. So there's various different voltages that I can't get from my bench power supply. I could get from like an ATX power supply, but I don't have any of them anyway. So right, so let's whack this on and see if we can figure out what's up with it. Right then, so I've got my multimeter with a couple of probes on it at the end, just because they're just fiddly to get into all the little parts. So I'm going to pop one on the ground in the middle, and then I'm just going to use the other one to nip onto the other posts. And let me check that one there. So it's plus 12. We should be getting plus 12 on that one. Oh dear. So that's 8 volts. So we're already 4 volts under. That's ridiculously low, that is. So yeah, that's not good. So I mean, it's no good to start with. Right, the center pin is minus 12, and wait, is that right? 2 volts, 2.1 volts. Seriously? that is a poorly power supply. Yeah, we'll check the 5 volts as well, but that is going to be, it's a dead stick. 3 volts. So yeah, that is it. The other pin, the shield pin, basically that goes to Earth on the British one anyway. On like the one in the UK, we have 3 pins. So we've got live, neutral, and Earth. So the shield basically is wired into that. It's just basically if there's anything rogue, it goes into that. Right, let's take it apart. Warning, warning, warning. I've had this powered on, so it will hold like a residual charge in the capacitor, and it is quite a lot. I can't remember what the size of the capacitor is, but it can give you a wallop, enough to kill you in some places. So anything that's live, even though you've unplugged it, you should always be careful. I'm not a professional, by the way, but anybody with half a brain and half an intelligence knows that you don't mess about with electricity. All right, so I'm just going to crack this open. Just 4 screws in the case. It feels like ridiculously light, so I'm not expecting like a real big power supply, because some of the bigger ones, like they filled them full of resin to that help dissipate the heat, but these are really small. Right then, there we go. Right, be careful not to touch anything inside. There is that is the one big capacitor that's near the brown wire, just under there. That's the one that holds the charge. So I'll just get this out. I think there's 3 screws in this one, just to hold it down to the plastic case. There we go. I am very careful in there, but you shouldn't really. I mean, I'm touching the metal part of a screwdriver. You shouldn't even be doing that. Right, I'm going to whip it out and flip it over. There's that big capacitor. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to, just to make sure, I'm just going to short it. Because a capacitor, it's like a battery. It stores an immense amount of energy and dissipates it just literally straight away. It can fill itself up and empty itself in like milliseconds. So that's what gives you a nasty kick. So if I just short these 2 out, just do it a couple of times, it should be okay. I'll get the multimeter as well, just to make sure. If I just set it to auto, it should go on anyway. So I'll just test across them points just to make sure. Right, I'll just take the probing leads off and just use the pins. Right, it's hard to tell. I mean, I've got poor lighting and stuff as well, but yeah, the numbers that are there, that's ohms. Right then, so it should be safe to touch. It should be, as he grabs it. So I'm not going to mess about. I was going to like look at repairing it, but these power supplies are old, and the newer modern equivalents are well better. I could have used like an ATX power supply, like a PC power supply that's got more than enough voltage rails and amps for what we need. But yeah, I'm just going to basically just pull the cables out and use the leads on this one. I'm just going to save it, and then the circuit board will, well, I don't think I could actually salvage anything off it. I should have clipped the leads a little bit shorter to the board. You'll see why in a bit anyway. But yeah, I'm going to save everything on that. Right, I bought myself a brand new switching power supply from eBay, no less. But having a look at it, it was supposed to be able to fit inside the plastic case. That was one of the main reasons why I actually bought it, because like I wanted something that I could use the old case and just basically update it with something modern internally. So this is the RT50B, and as you can see, look what length we got on there, 158, 59. So yeah, I mean the plastic case is way too big for the plastic case. There's no way it's going to fit in. All the voltages are correct, what we want, and it's got 5 amp, 5 amp, 1 amp across the rails, which is more than enough. It's I think an Amiga draws something like 500 milliamp. So this is the power supply that I got off eBay, and that was a specified size of what I was looking at. So it's supposed to be like 99 by like 98 by something by 36, and it wasn't. So there are alternatives. I went on Thingiverse and I find myself a nice little case, but it was for a different power supply. So it had different sizes. So I had to basically do a little bit of a web searching and find out the actual sizes of that one that this one catered for. But this is just something I can just whack together on my 3D printer. But yeah, so that is the one that I have. That is the case that I have. And you can see it's a totally different serial number altogether. I've downloaded it into a little editing program. It's just a basic Microsoft one, actually. But yeah, so I downloaded the file, took the measurements and just basically extended it about 30 mil, just enough to get the other power supply on in. So that should be what we need. Apologies for the shaky camera work. But that's it on my 3D printer, whirring and clicking away. So I like tinkering. I've built a 3D printer. Well, I haven't. It's from parts and stuff, and I've upgraded it as well. So it's beyond like factory spec. I like to do things like that. I like to take things and then make them better. So that's my little prototyping thing that I like to do. There we go. So that's the case in its raw format. Lovely and clean, and the power supply fits in as it should. With just a little room for the wires. So everything fits snug, and I'm going to put some like little fixing bolts and stuff in it as well. Oh, camera's terrible. So yeah. Right, the next problem I came across, I didn't really check this out first. I just thought, oh, it's an Amiga power supply. There are different types of power supply. Obviously, I mentioned earlier that some have got resin in and some are lighter. Some are for the Amiga Plus and some are for the like standard Amiga. Well, they didn't use standard switches or moldings. So this one is a little bit bigger. So this one is like 12 millimeters inside, and the one that I did was 8. I mean, I could have gone back to the editor and basically redone a 3D printed case, but I was like, oh, they take too long. You know, anybody that's got a 3D printer knows that if you print something of size, it can take a good part of a day to do. And I mean, this project's been like sort of 2 months in the making. It's just some of these little things that I didn't think about at the end. I thought, oh, it'll be all right. It's an Amiga power supply. It can't be any different. But yeah, so it's a different model of a power supply. And as you can see, everything else is crazy bigger or smaller, in fact. So that was like, what, nearly 30 mil. That's a 30 mil switch. So yeah. That's definitely not going to fit. So I'm going to have to either reprint a case with the correct sizes on, or do a little bit of modding. I opted for the modding. Fix it, Jim. Fix it. Oh, yeah. Right. Good old knife. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim down till I'm not going to cut it all the way through. I'm just going to cut down until I get to the cable. It's soft, so you can get there and trim it all away, which leaves me a little bit of a thing there, so I can like trap it between the plastics, put a zip tie on the end and pull it up. It's going to be a bit loose, but yeah, we can sort that out. Just make sure it sits in nice before I nip the cable tie up. It's basically just to stop the cables pulling through. I mean, I don't expect to be yanking the cable out anyway. The molded just for protection. So now I'm going to get my little friend. It's just a hot glue gun, and I'm just going to put little dabs, basically just to hold everything in place, just to help with the cable stress as well. I mean, I don't intend swinging it around my head or anything like that. I mean, it's just going to sit in a place, but you know, safety first. Lovely. Right, I've got a 3-pin neon switch in my little parts bin, so I'm going to use that. And it's plenty big enough. In fact, it's probably the same size. It's a little shorter, but it will fit. Will fit quite nice in there. So it's I think the size is 12mm, so it's a little bit under, but nothing to shout about. And then I think the overall shroud is about 30 something mil. Yeah. Right, I missed the part. There was a part where I was wiring it all in. So if we have a look, so on the switch, you've got a power line that comes in. The accessories, basically the power line goes out, so that is where your switch goes. The ground is for like the neon light. Now the ground is basically the bronze colored pin on the actual switch. And then on the other side, they are the voltages that go to the lead on the Amiga, as we've seen earlier. So we've got the -12, +12, ground, and +5. Right then, so ready, pop. Just kidding. Yep, nobody died. We can see the little green light. So all I'm going to do now is just test the voltages. There is like a potentiometer on there, so basically you could just control the voltage. It's a bit hard to see because it's hard to sync, but it's got 5.2 volts. So there is a little adjuster on there, so I'm just going to adjust it down and bring it bang on 5 volts. The thing with these power supplies is, like, well, any power supply that is made for the unit, it doesn't matter if they're a little bit over, because when you put a load on the actual power supply itself, it will go down to the specified voltage. But with these newer ones, they are over-spec'd, so you have to get them pretty much close to what you actually want, because it won't take much of a dip. It's a bit hard to see. It's I used to have like an analog one, but it's all gone digital now. And the analog one is like, oh, ridiculously old. It's nearly as old as me. But yeah, so there we go. I've got 5 volts, 5.02 or so. I mean, that's perfect. I'll just check the other voltages as well. So that's 12.1 ish. That is well good enough. And then the other one minus, so at -1 as well. Oh, 12.1, sorry. So yeah, so that'll be perfect. So when we plug that into an Amiga, it shouldn't take a dip, massive dip at all, and it should be well within spec. Beautiful. Right, So I'm now going to just use like my little prototyping drill. It's just like a little like hand drill. I'm just going to pop some screws and stuff in it. Just so we can button it all down. Keep it nice and safe and solid. There are a couple of screws that go through into the case. Like you can see, there's probably one on the side that go into the actual metal of the case itself. So it's not going to rattle about. It's got the Jim seal of approval. Right then guys, I think that's going to be it for this one. So obviously the next stages, I'm going to be getting my Amiga and test it out. Same as I say, everything that, you know, you should really start with the power first. Make sure you've got a good reliable power source. Everything is coming through right. Because the last thing you want to do is have a perfectly good piece of equipment and then you just blow it up with a faulty power supply. So the part of troubleshooting is start from the beginning and then work your way through. There we go. Right then. See you in the next one.